Okay, make sure I'm recording here. So I'm attaching this video to this email just in hopes that it would give you a better insight as to what I'm working with. I'm in IT, so I know that sometimes seeing what someone's trying to describe to me is a little bit better and gets more comprehensive support. And since I'm trying to drop the Leviathan, I think that's what it's called, MOSFET into this AEG, I definitely don't want to blow another resistor. So thank you for entertaining this video if you're watching it, and I want to give you a tour of the thing I've been working on when I bought the 922 Commando off of you guys. All of the terminology is fresh to me. I did about maybe 3 to 4 weeks worth of research into looking for my first AEG. I found that the YouTube video that you guys put out 2 months ago was exactly what I was looking for. I knew I was going to have time to upgrade this thing and to be able to learn how these things work. That way I'll be doing the best investment to go. So this was the cheapest all metal AEG that I thought came with some really good things like the tight bore barrel. And I didn't realize that the Proline AEGs have really good MOSFET, and then the piston's really good, and a lot of the parts of it I realized I didn't have to purchase when I purchased upgrades. So I left a few of those in there, and I'm saving the purchased upgraded parts for later. And so I'm going to show you the gearbox now, and you guys let me know what's going on. How did this thing jam? How did it not work? And I'm going to compare some of the older parts to the newer parts. I know I bought the low FPS version, so in my mind I'm like, did the low FPS mean that there's something different? I know that the springs are different lengths, but I figured that was part of the strength of it, because I was going up to an M120 spring. So let me know what you think. I'm going to go through this gearbox with you now. Thanks. Okay, so I have the gearbox open here. I took off the springs, anything that was really annoying to keep in there, like the thing that keeps it from going back. This was arranged like this down here to keep it from back spinning. So that was one thing that I wanted to make sure that was right, and actually didn't have a problem keeping that in place. What I had trouble keeping in place was this piece here. From sliding back and forth. This is even before I put the chip in. I put this chip in later because I realized that it was better to have one. So that worked kind of cool. And then I watched a few videos on how to shim, so I shimmed that as best I could. I used the shims that this had come with, that were already in there, and they seemed to work perfectly, so I didn't have to wait for those to come in the mail, and I still am waiting for those. But anyway, so this is original. This right here is not original. The original one is right here. I noticed that they're significantly different. So there's that. Right, so if I take this off here. So I was looking at the differences between these two. I noticed that the padding was different, and how that worked out. But I figured this was the upgrade. So then I also changed out the heads on here. And that seemed like it worked okay. What I didn't change out was I had purchased this from you guys. I ended up sticking with this one because the gear was shaved down. So I'm sorry, I'm messing with the focus here. So I decided to keep this as a backup, and I decided to continue using the old one. And this all I thought was working fine. I used O-ring lubricant for that, and the rest of it I used the super lube stuff right here, the synthetic grease for anything that was metal. And so that's what that looks like. And then of course you see the parts there. Of course with the MOSFET, it was previously wired towards the front, and an odd thing is that the wire for the battery was kind of like soldered on to like an exposed piece here. And it was a little weird, but that had to change directions too. So I had changed that to kind of come out here at the bottom, and to make it closer to where the battery was going to connect. And then I also changed the directions on the wiring for this for the plate, so the wires would flow easier. And I did experience a great amount of pressure and difficulty making sure that this was working properly to fit this into the thing here, and it was very helpful to have this opening down here for the wires to not get caught up in the gears. So that's how I wired that. I hope that was a good enough description as to how that worked out. It seems like everything was working fine. That's the resistor that blew. Sorry, I only have one lens here for this, and it's a pretty far focus range. So there's that. So that's what I have to show you in terms of that. I can compare the springs. I got an M120 spring. So, and I noticed that with this, the spring that it came with, because it was a low FPS version, is significantly different. I also noticed when I installed this, the guide in this were like this, and I want to know if that's definitely a problem. Like, am I getting the wrong spring, and that's how this got jammed up and then blew the resistor. Oh, and here's the original motor. Am I heavy breathing? I'm a big boy. Okay, so there's that, and definitely not a high torque motor. It's cool. And then the one I got instead was this Chinese M140 motor. High torque and definitely more clicky there, so I thought that was going to be great. Turned out to be really powerful. Oops, yeah, let's not put that anywhere near there. So if you can see that, that's the motor I used. And let me know if that was recommended. If not, then I'll just buy whatever you guys recommend.